we'll go ahead and get cooking. We got a lot of things to cover today, right? So
Yeah.
we definitely, there's a ton of interest in this topic. So I think you guys, between RPA, AI, and how you manage things with ERP, I think there's a lot of interest in this. So welcome to everybody. I can't call everybody out individually, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of folks, a lot of questions about AI. In fact, they said this is the best briefing ever. Here we are. Jessica from the VA. I'm able to utilize any of the tools presented for my current workload. That's what we're talking about, right, Kama?
Yep.
Right on. And Chris from HUD, I see some good examples and applications. I do believe we'll get into some good examples. Am I right, Manish?
Yes.
Awesome. Aaron from Census, I learned something. Best briefing ever for Aaron if Aaron learns anything. So we know that Manish is a Chiefs fan. So Aaron, you just learned that Manish is a Chiefs fan. Everything's good. All right, Laurie from CBB. Accountability of processing subjects is automated. Love to see that. Sarianne from Ed. We receive Fed-approved tools to implement within the next 6 months. That's pretty
I
aggressive.
love that. I love that.
Yeah. Kira from State can be kept engaged throughout the session. So let's keep it engaged. And I don't know, let's see, Michelle from IHS, become a better understanding of RPA. Love that. Enoch, I'm not from USIS. Discuss security concerns for running unattended bots. Great question. Conrad from CMS, explain the myths concerning worker concerns that they were replaced by bots. That is definitely an issue with a lot of folks. David from the VA, really show tangible, solid, demonstrated benefits with measured minimal downside. Love that. Try to say that 3 times fast. All right, Roger from DHS. I have concrete steps to make this happen. I know what expertise I need to develop, recruit, contract, start using RPA. Not bad, right, guys?
Yep.
All right, so please address who may I can ask future questions after the briefing. You got 2 folks right here. Demetrius, we solved that problem right out of the gate. We'll make sure you get the contact information too. Samson, can you give demonstration of RPA in action? We'll certainly talk about some of those parts. Tamika, and you can always do that offline, right? Right?
Yep. Yep.
Probably better to take a look at something that's very specific for actually seeing in action. Tamika, how will AI be utilized to enhance VCL operations and workflow? Great question. If I understood what VCL meant. Tamika, we'll do that. Chris, most powerful systems, integrating, data sharing, updated capabilities, etc. We'll ask some more questions about that. Adam from NIST, how is RPA different than automation, for example?
We'll talk about examples.
Good. Sarianne, again, seeking audio platforms for audio intelligence. It's not just, there's all kinds of things you can do with RPA and AI, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Roger from DS, what level of technical skills are needed to programming languages to tie it all together? Great question. Ayissa, how RPA and AI is being used in grants management across federal agencies. That's a great question. I don't know that we'll have that answer, but Ayissa, we'll figure that out for you. James from EPA, can these tools distinguish between good data, information, and bad? Woo!
We'll talk about that.
Woo! That's a good one, James. Love it. All right, and we do love for you guys to participate. I'll show you. You do side by side to make it so you can see things while we're doing it. If you're not familiar with Zoom, I don't know where you've been living. But if you'd like to participate, chat, raise your hand, ask in the Q&A, shoot a message to Manish here. And if you absolutely don't want anybody to know, probably the best thing, just take a snapshot of that and send a message to Manish. We're putting the docs in the chat, and I'm going to put the docs in the chat right this minute. This is access to the presentation, and we always love questions. So please, 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 please ask them. And if you have anything private, shoot it over to Manish. Quick disclaimer from GSA, because you are GSA schedule holders, are you not?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
So, not endorsed or affiliated with GSA's information purposes only, and you can participate because you don't have to commit to buy from anybody who's a vendor here. That's what that is all about. All right, fantastic. Well, we're going to get to some polls. We have a lot of interaction today, but the first one is, why in the world are you here? Is it that you're trying to understand the need for RPA and AI, reviewing areas where you can use it? We're implementing RPA, want best practices. We have specific RPA issue. There are folks that are already running this stuff, right? And they're worried that RPA AI is going to take your job, or love to have the Weisenheimers, don't we, Manish? My boss made me.
Absolutely.
There we go. Fantastic. So while you're answering that, I'm going to pop open this other presentation, which is the main one.
Is the poll completed yet?
Not quite.
No, it's going on. I see people still.
Yep, it's still going.
We've got 22 of 43 so far.
Yep, we're about 57%. And we know there's going to be a couple wallflowers, but we highly encourage everybody to participate. But because we definitely want to know what's most important to you guys, right? That's the most important thing. So if there's anything that you'd like us to address, you can pop it in the chat or the Q&A. I'll do my best to keep up on that. And we'll keep this open for 5, 4, 3, 2. Any last minute stragglers? 1. At 69%. Here we go. One more. I don't know. There it is. We got 71%. Here we go. Como, what do you think? We got just trying to understand the need. Yeah. A lot of folks trying to understand the need, and folks are in the middle of it, right? We're probably going to find folks like that.
What I like in this percentage is question number 5. Only 3% feel that I'm worried RPA AI will take my job, which actually makes me feel better, because that fear of RPA and AI is kind of receding in the last, I would say, 18 months or so now. So I like that. I like that indicator there.
That's good. And welcome back to everybody, and welcome everybody that's never been here before. We love introducing folks here. So real quick, the folks that are here today, you can read this in the handouts. Como is the CEO and managing partner of 6E Technologies. I'm not going to go into all this, but she is a rock star when it comes to RPA and working within different government agencies and different components, especially as it integrates with ERP, right? That's kind of your play?
Yes, ERP is my strength, and then automation and AI sort of is kind of getting into the ERP world to enhance the experience and bring in efficiencies. So yes, that's what I do.
And then Manish, how do you say your last name, Manish?
Kara.
Manish Kara, VP for Federal Relations. That's you folks with 6E. So Manish, what is your overall role, and what do you do with 6E when it comes to implementation of these types of things?
I oversee the federal side of the house, but in terms of the technologies, my background is data, business intelligence, predictive analytics. So it's using AI, RPA for data governance, for data cleansing, and for data visualization and analytics.
Fantastic. And there's a lot that agencies can do, right, with yes. RPA. And then layering different components and integrating with AI. So tell us a little bit about you, Como. You started in 2003. What made you decide to get into this world?
I am an ERP implementation person. I love implementing for specifically for government. What made me start this? If I can be totally honest, I just didn't want to be on the plane. I wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want to listen to anyone, and that's how I started. Initially, the company was in my husband's name, and slowly he was out, and I was my own boss, truly my own boss.
You booted your husband out. That's awesome. Yeah. Get out of here. This is now a woman-owned enterprise, as you can see.
Correct.
Certified by WeBank, it looks like. And you have a GSA contract. You're winning work and doing work with multiple agencies now. So congratulations. Correct. I think you're going to have great insight for everybody. We have, as far as an agenda, we're going to be working all the way through from just working into what are we talking about between ERP, analytics, where you are, incorporating those, AI, rolling AI into this, doing some case studies. I think that's probably one of the most important things that we want to spend the most time on. But we'll also get into your challenges because there's nothing about this that makes life easy. Is that right?
Correct.
So, and having folks to reach out to and where to go from here. So we do have a couple of wild polls. These are brand new, so this will be interesting to see. So the first one is, when did computers start using machine learning? Was it 1959, 1972, and 1985 or 2001? And this will get you put into a raffle for being able to win a trip to Jamaica. No, it doesn't. Just kidding. And if it was, it would be Jamaica, New York, or something like that. So there you go. So let's see what it is. So I will give you another 5, 4, 3. Come on now. Let's see
Does
who's going
anyone
to win.
else have a thing that says Machine Lear, like King Lear?
Oh, wow, look at that.
Mine's,
Oh, you can't. And you're the
Lear.
only one that can see that. Everybody else sees, when did computers start using machine learning?
okay.
All right. Yeah, we get to see secret things behind the scenes, and Zoom only it concatenates things. Anyway, all right. So here we go. So here's the results. So who's going to answer this for us?
It is 1959, so 23% people did get it.
23%. So we're tracking you now because we know who those people are. So the next question will be, when did we start hearing about artificial intelligence? Wait a second. What did I do? Oh, I got to stop sharing that poll, don't I? Hold on a second, because I could wind up getting myself in trouble. Which was machine learning. Okay, I got to stop sharing before I start doing the next poll. It's the first time I've ever done this. All right, here we go. When was the term artificial intelligence coined? No Googling and no using AI to find the answer. All right. And then we'll ask the next one in just a second. So 1980s is what
Pursuit.
it's even. No, 1980s. Take it. I was my favorite. They used to call me Spick Ringfield because I used to play Rick Springfield music in the 80s, and nobody would know Rick Springfield if you weren't from there. But Jesse's Girl, right? All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, here we go. So, who's right?
1960s. People won't think that, though. 1960s is when artificial intelligence as a term was coined, and the programming started towards that.
I love that. And then what is AI and machine learning based on? This is I have no idea. Where did these come from? Because I have no idea how this is going to work out. And I could, because I mean, you could make a case for every one of those, right? Except for maybe physics.
Not really. You can't make case for every one of them. There is a specific subject that AI/ML is based off of.
And
So
that's why
when
we
I
have
was asked these questions, this is the only one I got right out of the 3.
All right. So
No pressure.
Another 3, 2, 1. Any last stragglers? And let's see.
I have to give this to the audience here. 37% is correct. 37% of the population is correct here. Statistics is the base of AI/ML.
All right. See, I didn't know that, and that's why I am not the expert here. All right. So let's talk about this. So coined in the 1960s, right? So anything about this you want to drive into? This is some Marvin Minsky data here.
Yep. A great scientist, and basically what he said was, machines should be able to do everything that humans can do, but at a scale. So if I gave you 10 Excel sheets and said, and every Excel sheet has 60,000 rows, I say create a trend of the data without using computers, just looking at the data. Will you be able to do that? No. So anything that we are doing as humans, if you want to scale it up, you have to use AI. It's just not possible without that. So it just enhances our performance. So remember that checkers program, Dave? The very first checkers program where you could, it used to be cross and zeros.
You're talking about like you mean on a computer game?
On the computer.
Okay,
yeah. Remember when we were, I'm not going to date myself, but we were
All right.
we were little, and there was this is way before the Prince game came. I'm talking even 10 years before that. That was actually artificial intelligence, teaching the computer to play with the humans. So it would take our moves, learn from the moves, and use those moves back on us.
Man.
That was artificial intelligence.
There you go. There you go. All right, so we do have one more poll for everybody, and then we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this. So the question is, pick the examples of what are examples of intelligent automation. So you have self-driving vehicles, Netflix. Everybody uses that, right? Some of us use other people's accounts, but they're locking that up, right? Right, Manish?
Yes. Yeah.
TurboTax. A lot of folks using that. Getting directions to your favorite restaurant, or Roomba. So, and we don't have a Roomba. We have a Roomba knockoff. So I can't tell you what Roomba uses. I just know what ours does. So, all right. So what do you think? Where do you think? Do you think? And I'm wondering if it's more than just one, right? So it's probably multiples of these, right? So another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh man, they're coming in. Give me another half a second. There. Oh, got to give them. I guess it's a little bit more than reading. All right, here we go. All right, here. So this is what we got. 71%. So which ones are right of these?
Manish, you wanna take this one?
Filing your taxes using TurboTax is intelligent automation because it guides you through it. Self-driving vehicles are not. Netflix suggesting a show to you is. Getting directions to your favorite restaurant are not. And Roomba cleaning your room is, believe it or not, because it's using when it comes across obstacles and stuff, what to do. So 3 of the 5.
3 of the 5. So not self-driving.
No, that is artificial intelligence.
That's artificial intelligence.
It's not intelligent automation.
And we're gonna talk about the difference.
You see, the idea of this webinar is to remove this confusion. These terms are being thrown at people without true understanding of where RPA stops, where intelligence starts, and where artificial intelligence or generative AI starts. So there's so much of confusion, and that's the whole idea, to maybe take away some of that confusion.
I couldn't agree more. And I know everybody's asking the questions, right? It couldn't be a hotter topic, right? And there's so much, so much out there. So being able to break this down. So why should we care about intelligent automation and or artificial intelligence? You're going to break this down for us. So robotic process automation and AI, bring us through how we should be looking at this so we can come up with some good answers.
Sure. So remember in 90s, people were talking about, hey, there is something you can use to send messages across the computers. Remember that? That time when people did not know what internet was. Internet was not there yet, the way we use internet today. It was only 26 years ago. Think about it.
Crazy, right?
Crazy. 26 years ago, we did not know internet. And now we cannot live without internet. And that's My prediction is RPA and AI are going to be like that. Like it, don't like it, take it with a grain of salt, however you want to take it, but that's what it's going to be.
It's here to stay, is what you're saying.
It is here to stay. In 7 to 10 years, we will not know how we will function without RPA and AI. I'm telling you, that's going to happen. But the good news is humans have to stay in the loop. Humans will have to stay in the loop. There is no other way, because machines can go only so far. So that's the good news. And let's face it, everyone on this call has been using artificial intelligence in some way or the other in the past 3 to 4 years, and we don't even know. Your cell phones, your smartphones have some sort of AI. Your Netflix has some sort of AI. And you are in your work on a daily basis, you're utilizing RPA. You probably don't even know that's happening.
Yeah.
Another good news is you don't have to learn programming anymore to utilize artificial intelligence or RPA. These programs have become, the technology has become so available, so easy for normal human beings who are functional, who are business users, who can actually implement these technologies. This is what I'm loving about it. We are living in the 6th generation of computers now, computer language now, where you don't have to write the Python code to to do programming. You actually, let the companies who are creating these programs use the programmers at that level. You as a business user can use many programs out there that can actually help you catapult from where you are in using these technologies without learning the programming languages. That's what I'm excited about. And then I have to say this: if you've not heard of these these terms even today, you must be living under a rock. If you don't know AI is there, if you don't know RPA is there, please wake up. Let's just wake up and smell the coffee. It's happening.
It's happening, and it's not going away. And so part of the issue that you wanted to do today is start to dispel some of the confusion.
Yes.
Let's talk about what these different things are, because they do.
Correct.
There are similarities, and they do work together, right?
Yes, they can. The beauty is they can work by themselves and together to bring in more efficiencies. From RPA to generative AI, think about human being getting more and more muscle power. That's how I look at it, right? So, and I'll go into examples of every single stage here, every single terminology here: robotics, process automation, intelligent automation, and generative AI. So it's robotics process automation is low code, no code, commercial, off the shelf. So you use constant technology to automate the repetitive tasks. Remember, it's repetition. It's doing same thing over and over and over again. You use robotics process automation there. Now, take robotics automation, process automation, and put intelligence into it. So it's going to be cognitive, a little bit more cognitive, and learn from the answers you're giving back to the machine, and enhance the output using the answers you're creating. So it is cognitive, it is learning from the answers. Then when we get into the generative AI space, it's the creativity that takes over here. It's taking multiple examples from multiple sources and then distilling it to an answer. So it's becoming, I don't know if you guys are using OpenAI, people on the call, but try a question and send a question to OpenAI and say, give me XYZ. But if you say, please please give me X, Y, Z because I need an answer to blah, 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 the answer will change. We don't know yet why AI behaves better if you use the words please, kindly. We don't know. Scientists have no idea. The data analysts have no idea why AI behaves like that, but AI has been known to behave in a better way if you are using words like please. We don't know why.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm
That
not
is
kidding
crazy.
you. I am not kidding you. Go read about it.
I've never heard that, but we have heard of hey, and my son actually did this. He said, "Make me a this, like a, I don't know, a squirrel that wants to do medieval battles or something," and it'll create this image that is like you said, quite creative, and then it'll do it differently every time to give you a different type. And some of those are really creepy, by the way. but anyway, I think that's really interesting. So Tariq is asking a question. Will you show how one can use RPA to extract data from multiple different systems that I have to access and combine them for me to use? The answer is yes, but probably not here.
Well, we'll touch upon it. Multiple sources of data are important, but let's just first clear what is RPA versus. So let's go to the next slide, and I will go into what's the example, and they will know if they really do need RPA or they're talking about intelligent automation there.
Great, because Adam's asking a question. In terms of terminology, how and when does generative AI become general AI? Great question.
Yeah.
I don't know where that line is.
Generative AI, one of the most important things in generative AI, and we'll get to this, is prompt engineering. Being able to ask it the right question so you get the right data back. When you get to general intelligence, AGI, you've basically gotten the computer up to the point where it can give generative AI a prompt, right? Right now, generative AI requires you to tell it what to do through a prompt. AGI won't require that prompt, or it can go tell generative AI, go look up this information for me because I'm doing this right now. AGI is like human level intelligence.
That is wild, Manish. That is crazy. All right. So how does this work?
So, and now I'm going to actually, let's get ourselves into the work world, like, our daily jobs. So if you think about artificial intelligence, I want to say the advantages of artificial intelligence are something like identify abnormalities in data. So security, for example.
Great question.
You have 60,000 users in your agency that are using an ERP system, how humanly possible it is for you to look at the data and say there is something wrong, there is some spend that should have not happened, unless you actually put a layer of artificial intelligence that can actually continues to look at the data.
Super powerful.
Right? Super powerful. You'll not be able to do that using human brain. Reduce human tedium, going through FAR clauses on a daily basis, reading and not being able to synopsisize, meeting compliance mandates, decision-making power, having large data sets. There was one question, multiple data sources and large data sets. How do you take that data and make a decision out of that? And I'll go into examples, specific examples. You can actually use AI to increase transparency in spend. Again, goes back to role security, again, goes back to how ERP is being utilized. But the data that is coming out of ERP, one thing I'm very excited about is, Dave, that the government has so much data, and most of that data is coming from the ERP, which already is clean data. So if we utilize a couple of data methodologies that Manish will get into, we can actually use AI on that data relatively in a simpler way. Mm-hmm. Obviously, for better citizen engagement, we can, artificial intelligence can be used. Let's Next slide, please.
Yep.
So automation. So automation and AI, sometimes it feels like this is all one thing. It is not. Automation can stop where you want it to stop. Artificial intelligence is continuing to learn. So AI versus intelligent automation, automation is usually done for cost savings. You can actually reduce your cost of operations by 20 to up to 60%. Human resources that are using the mundane work can work on better things than just doing the same job over and over again. Services are available 24/7 by 365 because a bot is doing that. They're not taking off. There is no PTO for them, so they're not gonna call in sick. Offer accuracy, reduce business cost, ensure traceability, improve service times. All of this is intelligent automation, but in a very controlled manner. It's very, very controlled. Intelligent automation and automation is very, very controlled method of automating your processes. So let's go to the next slide. I'll give examples.
This is one of the craziest slides I've seen.
So think about your organization. The lowest layer is your systems. In the middle, we're talking about these layers that can sit on the data being produced by these ERP systems, whichever system it is. Even if you have homegrown system, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is your transactional and your master data is being collected at the lowest layer of your business processes. Then you have then we put in the RPA, AI, or IA layer in the middle, and people are sitting on top of it. So it goes back to my initial comment that human is not going away anywhere.
It can't. Let me go back there for just a second. And I have this conversation too, because there's a lot of AI generated content that you see out there. And a lot of times you can sniff it out, right? Because it's just something about it, right? But when you add the layer of the person over top to be able to say, hey, that's not quite right, because we saw a lawyer that got booted from the bar, right? For using AI, but he didn't put the human layer over top of it, and it's like you can't just let it.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. So let's talk about examples of this. We're going to show each one of these, right?
Yeah. So RPA, an example is automating invoice entry to an ERP system. The invoice comes from the vendor. The system scans it, takes the data, puts the data into wherever the invoice data goes into the ERP system. This is your RPA. Now, intelligent automation is using procurement data to create alerts. Now it's becoming a little bit cognitive and telling the procurement chief, hey, you may not be able to make the socioeconomic goals on your spend this year because you're not spending enough for small businesses, for woman-owned small business, or whatever alert you have set. So it's reading your data, reading your procurement data, and giving you an alert. So there is some intelligence here. Let's go to the generative AI into our work world, and it can detect anomalies. Now, if you set it up, again, human has to be in the loop. Remember, the human is not going anywhere. We can use the ERP data to detect fraud while it is happening real time.
That is really cool.
Right. So if there is, say for example, there is a role conflict, a person who can do buying is also sitting on the purchasing side, on the AP side, not a good idea. when you have 60,000 users and out of those 8,000 are your purchasing users and AP users, how can you manage that kind of data at that level manually? So that's where AI comes into picture.
And there's a couple questions. ERP, thank you very much, Manish, for Melody. Enterprise Resource Planning. And then that's an acronym. Government doesn't know anything about acronyms. And then the other one is the rules would have to define what is considered fraud, correct? Interesting question, Tariq, right? Tell us from your perspective what you see there.
The business rules tell you what to look for in fraud. I still think at this point, that's getting to the AGI part of it. You still need a human to actually look at it and tell you if it's fraud or not. I don't think we've reached the point where the system automatically goes, that's fraud. Think of it like your taxes. It will say, look at these 3 people, maybe you should audit them, but ultimately it's the human tax auditor who goes, this is the one who's getting audited.
Exactly.
And it's like, and when I was working, this is years ago, I was working with the post office IG. And what they were looking for were the anomalies in the route, the timing of delivery of routes, and the loss of packages to try to figure out where the post office worker was stealing packages. Crazy. But that's exactly what we're talking about here, right? Looking for the outliers, knowing what is normal to understand what the outliers are, and that is a really powerful tool, right?
Exactly.
So with ERP, again, what does that stand for, Manish?
Enterprise Resource Planning.
There you go.
So enterprise resource planning is system that is collecting your transactional data. It could be finance, it could be supply chain, it could be HR. Any of those systems that is collecting data on a daily basis and producing reports is your ERP system. It could be a COTS package, or it could be something that it is homegrown for any agency. So it does not matter. The contract administration, this is a use case from Army. Manish, this is your use case, man. You want to talk about that?
Come on, man.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, Army. You're an Army guy. I'm not.
So the challenge we had, we implemented an intelligent automation system, but the challenge was for people who were deployed, a lot of them had left families back here who didn't understand all the rules and regulations. And sometimes the pay wouldn't show up, or if it show up, there'd be a deduction in it and all that. So to get those questions answered and get their benefits regularly and stuff, we built an intelligent automation system that would basically guide them on, well, this is what you need to look at. If they ask a question to the system in Veterans Affairs, they'll say, you need to go look at this. So this is the person you need to talk to. Or before you talk to this person, please have these forms ready, because that way that saves a phone call. If you end up calling them and they go, well, I need to see these forms, then you're like, oh, I'll go get them. And then you have to call them back. This helped eliminate that. And the benefit of that ended up being overall was the fact that we were able to reduce the amount of time that benefits went to soldiers or retirees or spouse from 31 days to 23 days. Now, 8 days might not sound like a big deal, but it hit home for me when I was sitting on one of the calls and a person told me, they said, you got this resolved in the time I needed, which means I got the money on May 29th instead of June 7th, which meant I could pay my rent on the 1st, which I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So every day makes a difference.
Thanks, Manish. Didn't want to put you on spot there, but...
That's all right.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, this is my use case, HR, recruiting, administration. So we implemented an ERP system, HRMS system for our client. They are a growing company. They still are a client of ours. They were growing by 300 to 400 staff 200 up to 150 people a year. That's a lot of recruitment. They were moving from Australia to open their office here in Houston. So that the first 2 year growth was through the roof. They were not able to manage their recruitment and hire people on a timely basis if they were doing manual work. So we actually created an automated system which would go in if an application for a job came through, the system would actually go in and scan the resume, make sure the skill sets, the skills that were required in the JD were available in the resume. So that was the first level of scrutiny. And if the resume had all those skill sets and the technologies or whatever was needed with the keywords that were set up, again, this is a business rule, the resume would actually make to the next level. The next level would mean that there would be a screening call with HR, which would be automatically set on Microsoft Teams, finding the place within the HR screening person's calendar. Believe it or not, this is all possible. Again, there is no intelligence here. This is all business rule based automation. The HR person will actually interview, check the communication and see the personality match, not doing the technical interview yet, and then the HR person will move that resume to the next, just like TurboTax, next to the next stage, and then the actual hiring person, who was the technical SME, they would have the interview set up, finding the place on their available time on Microsoft Teams, and all this will be done behind the scenes without having HR getting involved, and the final interview will happen, and then obviously onboarding was all manual, but the entire screening process from start to finish was done automatically.
And all, like what I just heard is the HR professional that's responsible for doing the hiring is using this to assist them for all the mundane things that they don't want to do anyway.
Right. Who wants to look everybody's calendar and set? Who wants to do that? Do you want to do that, Dave? We cannot get on a calendar ourselves, just the two of us.
My team banned me. They banned me. They banned me from putting things on my calendar.
Recruiters spend an average of 3 or 4 seconds per resume.
Yes, and then this again took out the bias. Think about it. No human was looking at the resume to say male, female, white, black, brown. Nothing was name, nothing.
So
none of that was in the business rules. The business rules said, look at the skill set. Does it match the JD? If it does, move forward. That's the business.
I actually used my knowledge in this for pseudo evil. I had my kids, there was a job they were going after. I had them modify their resume with some keywords for a Capital One position that they were going after. Both of my kids now work for Capital One.
There you go.
So next, let's go to the next one. This is Manish. Go ahead.
All right. So data analytics. I'm going to give you examples of RPA and then get into specific examples. So RPA, one of the key things, I think this is one of the questions, we use a bot to take data from multiple data sources, right? Yep. And one of the clients that I'll talk about has 250 plus data sources, and we've got to get that data into a standard data format so it can be ingested by the data warehouse or the data mart. And we're using RPA with the business rules to get the data in that right order, put the validations in, do whatever conversions that need to be done based on the business rules. For generative AI, we are creating models to basically go in and ask it questions like, for example, this hurricane took this path. What are the similarities between other hurricanes that we might be able to glean data from? So we use that learning and generate forecasts based on that and identify potential opportunities where we can use the data and mitigate risk based on what has already happened. So it gives you actionable intelligence and informed decision making. In terms of the intelligent automation, we took that a step further and said, okay, I've got a generative AI model. If I now combine it with natural language and natural language processing, I can use the unstructured data that people ask questions to tell them the right place to start in this model as to what they're looking for. But in addition, when we add machine learning on top of it, we were able to have, for example, multiple dashboards and say, okay, you took a look at this, and based on the question you asked, we found that other users also found these other three dashboards useful because they're related to this. So we were suggesting other dashboards and analytics they should look at based on their original question because of the machine learning.
That is fantastic. We do have, I want to make sure we hit this for Tariq. Tariq, do you got a microphone? Am I saying this right? Tariq Musa? I could be messing that up. Let me know if you have. I just gave you the ability to unmute because I want to make sure we hit this for you. Because you're asking that. You there? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Tarek.
Tarek, sorry, man, that was me.
It's all good. I've been called worse.
Yeah, me too. So, what agency are you with, Tarek?
Veterans Affairs.
Fantastic. So this is one of those cases of pulling in data from multiple sources. What are the sources that you're talking about that you're pulling in that you want to see?
So we have external systems. A lot of people on here I see are somehow from the VA, like CSOD, which is a certification place, that replaced FATAS. And we have some internal sources that we need to pull together. So I need to pull 3 reports out of CSOD, but I have to pull them down every day. And I'm thinking, okay, I can do RPA to do that instead of having to manually do it every day. And then do the processing, if you will, of those 3 reports into one specific report with a specific outcome, and then share it with other solutions.
You definitely can.
Yes.
You definitely can.
A couple of things I want you to be aware of. One, at the VA, and I think this is true at a number of other agencies, the bot has to be tied to a particular user. You can't have system bots, right? Someone has to be the owner of that bot.
So what happens if the owner leaves, goes away,
That's exactly what I'm getting at. So can you have system accounts? Because at the USDA, we had this issue where they wouldn't let us do that. And we had created a whole bunch in someone's name, and that person left, and all the bots stopped working because they shut down the system.
I understand. That's exactly my point. So the question really is, we can set up system accounts, but can it work with a system account?
It can work with a system account as long as the system has the right privileges. Right.
And it has the privileges and access an account in the systems that it's connecting to.
Absolutely. That's exactly. It's just, think of it as just another use. It's like when you create a business that has an EIN number, it has this whole entity just like a social security number, right? The system bot has to have the same permissions that you'd give to a user, except they're perpetual.
Got it. Okay. There's ways around that. I suppose we can not mimic a person, but also we can set it up for a person, but then once that person transitions or is transitioning away, we can recreate or change the credentials on the bot?
Yes. So what we had done at the USDA was we had actually created a user who reported to a supervisor. And the supervisor was basically the Secretary of Agriculture, which would switch in and out. And that user, if that user would leave, or whoever was tied to, you would just reassign that to a different supervisor. And that way the bot would continue working. So the owner was actually the supervisor who was in charge of the bot. So you always knew if there was something with the bot, who to go to. But if the supervisor or the user left, we'd give the system bot a new supervisor. And that's how we had traceability and accountability. But that bot was still perpetual.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. How do we make sure we're building for the future, not just for the present?
Absolutely. You took away my thunder. I was going to tell you about the story of how this happened, and you already had it. You know,
Sorry.
security shuts it down, and suddenly 27 bots stop working.
Sorry
So
about
that's
that. I'll
literally
retract all
when
of
my
that.
bots called
Yeah,
out
see
sick.
that? That's what you happen when you go live, man.
Exactly.
Eric,
My bots
just-
called out sick.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Tarek, you got anything else you want to throw in before you?
No, sir. This has
Awesome,
been really
man.
good so
Great.
far. Thank you.
Good stuff. Appreciate it, man.
All right. So jumping back to the USDA here. Oh, go
okay.
back.
Go back.
So-
I'm going back.
You probably know there were two hurricanes, Henri and Michael, which occurred about 6 years apart a few years back. And both of them went up the East Coast and made landfall just south of Charleston, South Carolina, and went up into North Carolina. After the first hurricane had gone through, 6 years later, the system, we'd set it up, came back and said, you know, Michael is following a very similar path to Henri. We took a look at it. We saw that it was basically going to be almost same, off by maybe 40, 50 miles from the other path. That was our speculation or our forecast. And we were able to go look at Michael's data or Henri's data and say, oh my God, we lost 80% of our peanut crop in that time because the insurance was there. Obviously, the farmers had insurance, which the USDA backed up. When they lost 80% of their peanut crop, they had to pay out to those 80% of farmers.
This
who
is a
lost their
great
crop.
story. This is awesome.
What ended up happening is we realized that if everyone harvested their peanut crop early, 3 weeks early, they would get about a 70% yield that way. So the government said, if you harvest your crop 3 weeks early, we will pay you we will pay you the difference between what you can sell, because they're still a little immature, and what your price would have been if they were fully mature. And for the people who didn't take up the deal, they'd be out of luck. You could get 100% of it, or you get nothing, because if the storm happened to hit your area, over 85% of the farmers opted to take that. And so basically the USD ended up paying about 20-25% out to all the peanut farmers instead of having to pay out 80% of the crop, and they saved like $27 million.
Now, true story, right?
Yeah,
so
true story.
It saved a significant portion. Better to have 70 or 80% than zero.
Exactly.
And using the historical data, right? You use the historical data to say, hey, judging by the way this storm is looking, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's an incredible, great, really good use case for something that's practical, that a lot of folks in government, you know your own agencies and you know where critical things can happen just like that. And that was really impactful for peanut farmers, right?
And now, and now they're trying to do that with tornadoes in Kansas and Oklahoma that might cause issues. Rain in the Northwest with logging and stuff, for example, with timber, where you cut the timber, but if it's shipped before it's shipped, if it rains, that logs the wood and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other uses that the USD is getting into around the country.
That is fantastic. So there's a couple more use cases that are in the presentation, but we want to make sure we keep you guys cranking here. We're going to ask the question about, hey, where are you in your AI journey? So you can be level 0, which you don't even know what this stuff is. Some folks are there. Nothing wrong with that, right, Kamal?
Oh, absolutely not.
Nothing wrong with that. All the way up to level 4, which means you've already deployed everything. Everything's working perfectly and will never need to change. And we know that they are liars. See that little one in the parentheses at the end?
Exactly.
So
level 4 is Skynet. No, I'm just kidding.
So for those of you who have no idea what that reference is, so there are people that really believe that's okay. I love the fact some RPA and AI are a little bit more complete than others. So we're just Awesome. So as you're looking at this becomes part of the journey. So you can take a look at this on your own and say, hey, where am I really? It's okay. But the objective then is, what do we do? How do we do this? For last thoughts, for takeaways from folks here, how do they really get things moving, Komal? How does it work?
So, you have to assess where you are. One thing we all know, unless you know where you are, you won't know where you want to go from there,
That's
right?
right.
So knowing your geospatial position is very important to know where you're headed, right? So start with the initial problem. Don't try to boil the ocean. Start with a prototype. This example that Tariq brought was great. Start with small RPA, or then move into intelligent automation and then AI. Data sources, somebody asked about that question, knowing your data sources and cleaning the data. Data governance has become the term that is being used most, which was 5 years ago, people were just not even paying attention to it. Remember, your decisions are based on the data. You have bad data, your decisions are bad. So make sure that you have data governance in place. And if you need help, let us know. Get your security and infrastructure team involved, because they are the ones who will know if you can use certain technologies.
Like Tarek was saying, right? You're going to need
Yes. Yeah.
figure out what
you
your
need to get
permission
them
structure
involved.
is.
Yeah. And again, interface with your data governance team, and good data make good decisions. Just make sure that your data is clean. One of the reasons I love working with the ERP data in the beginning is because we know it's clean data. You cannot have bad invoice. The invoice that is paid is not a bad invoice. It's a great transactional data that we can leverage on. So ERP is a good place to start utilizing your automation, as well as intelligent automation and also generative AI, because this is clean data. All you have to do is take that data, create the models, and utilize AI.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So these are my last thoughts. Manish, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, my last thoughts again with data is data without context is just data. Data with context is information. And if you can validate that information and make sure that it's clean and you've got data governance with it, then it becomes actionable intelligence. You can make decisions based on it.
Yep. Fantastic. So as we mentioned earlier, you have no obligation to buy from any vendor here, but if you want to, you can, because GSA stars, you also have different BPAs that you guys are on.
Yes.
So if you would like to continue the conversation, please let them know. If you have anything that you need, you have the experts here. In fact, that was one of the questions. What do we do next? How do we engage? This is exactly right.
The
Just
one
let us
last
know.
thing I'd like to leave out to the people out here is, I saw the list of things like this would be the best presentation if ever. Mm-hmm. Some of those topics we are already working on in terms of some white papers that we're putting together. And some of them we are actually working on. We've got a couple of other webinars later on in the next couple of months that we'll be talking about some of that stuff. So stay tuned, because a lot of those topics that you brought up, we're already working on for stuff we're doing in the next 6 months.
Fantastic. And also, if you would like to participate in a pilot or be involved in some of the things for white paper development, a lot of times that's where the information is coming from, right?
Absolutely.
Right, Komal? Is interaction with you guys. So very good. Nihal says, impressive presentation. Bam, 60 minutes flew by because we kept them engaged. That was one of our requirements from somebody else. Awesome, Tracy. Fantastic. We appreciate you guys. We'll make sure. Thank you, everybody that signed up and everybody that showed up. You will get a copy of the presentation and a link to the video if you want to watch it over and over again. Share it with your friends and neighbors. But yeah, great job, guys. I really appreciate it. I think what you're bringing forward and being able to explain what's happening out in the for the govies here. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
Tarek,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Thank you, Melody. All right, folks, we're gonna get you guys out of here. We good? Come on.
Yes,
Yes.
I think so.
Awesome.
Great,
I'll leave it.
great session.
There's still people answering this poll, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that open for just a minute. You guys can bail out. Any last minute questions for anybody before we jump? We can unmute you if you'd like, just like we did with Tarek. We'll throw you right into the flames if you want. If that's good. All right, fantastic. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you for the feedback. Love it. And we'll end this in just a couple more seconds. All right, we'll end that poll. Great job, guys. As usual, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you,
we-
everyone.
Thank you.
Betcha. See you guys.
Bye-bye.